All right. Hi, my name is Vian,
My name is Christian Serrata.
My name is Divyansh.
My name is Lynn.
and this is our project. Um, for our project, we wanted to analyze how music listening habits relate to a student's academic performance, mainly regarding their GPA. And we chose this topic because music seems to play a big part in many students' daily lives, whether it's to stay focused or reduce stress. And so we wanted to see if there was a relationship between studying habits and music listening habits. And our research question that we came up with was, to what extent does the context of music listening, measured by self-reported frequency of listening, while studying versus during leisure, predict GPA among UCSE students? And we asked this question because we wanted to explore whether music is just a background habit or if it actually plays a role in how well a student performs academically. And for our hypothesis, we came up with students who primarily listen to instrumental or low volume music while studying will report higher GPAs than those who listen to lyrical or high volume music.
For our data, we chose to gather our own data by surveying the UCSA student population. We created our own survey to gather data about students' lifestyle habits and their academic performance. We conducted the survey through Google Forms where we asked students questions about their musical preferences, GPA, and study habits. We received around 200 responses from different participants. We gathered their majors, class standings, and colleges, and more variables as like GPA, units, study hours to help conduct our research. While conducting our own survey allows us to get the relevant data needed for our project, we acknowledge the potential issues that can arise from surveys such as self-selection bias or sampling bias, which may affect our results. Because we conducted the survey with our research goals in mind, our data was already tidy and structured. However, data wrangling was still necessary for our project. The next section describes how we handle this process.
Yeah, for the data cleaning and wrangling part, so we only have one data set which is collected from the survey, and we first renamed the columns for convenience, and then we dropped the constant and timestamp columns since they're pretty much useless for the analysis. And about we also dealt with data messiness, pretty much drop all the missing row, and then for the data wrangling, we convert those numeric like supposed to be numeric columns like GPA, units, study hours, sleep hours to like float. And then we also encode like columns like caffeine intake, stress level into numeric scales. We also encoded those categorized label columns to like zero or like binary. We also like binarized columns for like convenience, and we also generate a new column for further analysis. So here's the clean data set, and this is ready for our next part, the exploratory data analysis.
So for the exploratory data analysis, we began by a univariate analysis, which means that we tried understanding how each of our features look like. Firstly, as you can see, there's the distribution of GPA. It's skewed towards left, and the more more data is concentrated towards the right, so higher GPA, which shows that we have responses of people who have higher GPA compared to those who have lower GPA. Next, we saw the distribution of units. The distribution of units appears a little random with the a little normalish, with the data centered towards between 8 to 16, 17 GPA or units. And then we could see the distribution of study hours and sleep hours. Both of it appears normal with peak to between 5 to 15 study hours and around 5 to 8 sleep hours. And similarly, we map for screen hours, music hours, and so on. For further univariate analysis, we focus on three main graphs. First one was impact of music on studying by listening habit. We can see that we have split it into those who listen to music and those who do not. And it could see that who listen to music while studying, there was a better, it improved focus for more for people who listen than for those who did not. The second thing was we mapped the top music genres. We could see that the top music genres here was rap and hip hop, followed by R&B and pop. And finally, we plot out do students listen to music while studying, and we found that we had more data for students who did listen to music for in comparison to those who did not. Next, we came up with the multivariate analysis. We started with a correlation matrix, understanding the different features, understanding the correlations of between different variables. So here we plot a basic heat map followed by a pairwise scatter plot to understand how multiple variables look like. Next, we had an analysis between GPA and study hours. Here we had a scatter plot with a line of best fit between them, understanding how GPA versus study hours actually look like. So here we can see that there's a basic correlation, like, it's a straight line around 3.25. That's where the study hours is centered at. Next, we plotted GPA versus sleep hours. And again, the GPA is again plotted between 3.25 and 3.5. for multivariate, we focus on more variables like, GPA versus daily music hours. And next, we did a basic regression model.
Yeah, and for the regression model, we basically do OLS, try to predict GPA based on like several features like music type, music leisure, and here's the result we got from the regression. And pretty much we also get a graph comparing our prediction versus the actual observations, and it shows they're kind of like related somehow. And we also got our residual plot and distribution. As you can see, the residual distribution is actually skew left. And then we also performed the feature importance analysis. It shows that the intercept is actually the most important feature, and then there's music leisure. And then we also consider maybe there's like a difference between STEM majors versus non-STEM majors, but the box plot actually shows there's no actually difference there. Groups. And we also have a summary table here to show the correlations and the R square. And for the conclusion and recommendation for our analysis, just study hours, sleep, and STEM status are top GPA predictor as expected, but like music content type and volume show smaller but non-zero effect. And instrumental low volume listeners have somewhat higher GPA, but the effect is subtle, so they may not be significant in all samples. And the model can predict GPA with reasonable accuracy, but like for further work, I think maybe we should like explore nonlinear or like interaction effects or cluster types of student and model general level patterns.
For ethics,
In conclusion, our study examined how different music listening contexts relate to GPA. Contrary to expectations, listening to music while studying, whether instrumental or at low volume, did not significantly affect GPA. However, listening to music during leisure was associated with a lower GPA, while higher overall music volume was linked to a slightly higher GPA. Control variables like study hours, sleep, and major were not significant predictors. Limitations include self-reported data, a cross-sectional design, and the lack of detail on music genres or preferences. The findings suggest that listening context matters, but not in the way originally hypothesized. Further research to use experimental or longitudinal methods and more refined music measures.